Education Policy Committee to order. Members, please take your seats. And I believe there is a quorum present. You'll find in your packets the minutes for February 5th as well as February 6th, our joint meeting with HHS. Has anyone had a chance to look at the February 5th minutes? Representative Sandell.
I have, Madam Chair, thank you, and I move the minutes be adopted for February 5th.
Representative Sandell moves approval of the minutes for Wednesday, February 5th. Do I see any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion prevails and the minutes for the Wednesday, February 5th meeting are approved. And then we have the February 6th minutes. Has anybody had a chance to look at the February 6th minutes?
Madam Chair, I have.
Thank you. Representative Moeller?
Yes, I move the approval of the minutes for February 6th.
Representative Moeller has moved the approval of the minutes for Wednesday, February 6th. I believe I said Wednesday, February 5th, so we'll fix that. For Wednesday, February 6th, any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion prevails and the minutes for Wednesday, February 6th are now approved. Next, we have a special treat. We have Christine Para, House Research, Education Policy Legislative Analyst, here today to just kind of give us a background on school standards. We have some new members to the committee, and I know standards are being looked at for science this year, so I just wanted to have the committee have an opportunity to hear about how standards are approved. So, Ms. Para, would you like to announce yourself for the record and your title, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members. Christina Para from the House Research Department. I'm going to talk a little bit about Minnesota's academic standards, and I just want to preface it by saying I will not be getting into the substance of the standards in the various content areas. Questions about those would be best for the Department of Education. So I'm going to talk more about just a couple of minutes on history and how we came to have academic standards, and then the process for developing those and how those are implemented. So academic standards are, under statute, defined as a summary description of student learning in a required content area or elective content area. And up until the 1990s, Minnesota was high school graduation requirement was really based on credits. You can call them Carnegie units. And it was what some people called seat-based requirements. So students just had to take, they had to satisfy a 20 credit minimum with 9 credits in certain core academic areas, and then the remaining credits could be electives. And school districts could require additional coursework for graduation. In the 1990s, the legislature enacted a session law and then codified a statute to move towards rigorous results-oriented high school graduation rule, and directed the State Board of Education to adopt 2 types of graduation requirements, a basic standards test and a profile of learning. And the State Board of Education, and there was then the Department of Children, Families, and Learning, for those of you who might be new to those don't exist anymore, and we just have the Department of Education. And then in the 2000s, we saw a shift towards the statewide academic standards that we have now. So the high school graduation rule that we had in the 90s, that started in about the mid-90s, had the basic skills test for reading and math, and later added writing, and had something called the profile of learning, which had interdisciplinary academic standards across a range of content areas, skills, and strategies. So some of them would be read, view, and listen, or people and cultures, and then there were content standards underneath each of those learning areas. Those were repealed in 2003, and the legislature replaced that with the required academic areas in subject areas. And the ones we currently have in statute are language arts, math, science, social studies, physical education, health, and the arts. We do still have credits requirements, And those credits have to be sufficient to satisfy the academic standards. So you have a list there of, for example, language arts. 4 credits are required for high school students to graduate, et cetera. And that's 7 elective credits, so your total is 21.5. Of course, school districts can require additional credits. The Commissioner of Education develops most of the required standards. So the Commissioner develops standards in language arts, math, science, social studies, physical education, and the arts. 2 notes there with the arts, the Commissioner develops statewide standards, but local districts can adopt their own. They're not required to adopt those state standards. And for physical education, the Commissioner adopts they're called the National Shape Standards. Districts have to develop their own health standards, and again, they may develop their own art standards. So in to develop those standards, the Commissioner has to consider advice from stakeholders, and that's going to be parents, teachers, college faculty in those content areas, members of the business community. Standards must be clear, concise, objective, measurable, and grade level appropriate. The Commissioner cannot require a specific methodology or curriculum, and the standards must be consistent with the state and United States constitutions. The Commissioner has to use the rulemaking process to adopt standards, and the rulemaking process, that's in Chapter 14 of our statutes, and it's the process that all the executive agencies follow when they're adopting rules. Generally requires notice to the public and a process for the notice to provide input. Standards are reviewed and revised on a 10-year cycle. During that revision, the Commissioner is required to embed technology and information literacy standards to align those standards with career and college readiness, and to include the contributions of Minnesota American Indian tribes and communities as related to the academic standards. In addition to the standards, the Commissioner develops grade level benchmarks. And benchmarks are specific knowledge or a skill that a student has to master in order to complete part of an academic standard by the end of the grade level or grade band. Excuse me. So the benchmarks supplement the standards. They might cover more than one grade. And students have to offer all of the benchmarks, and students have to achieve all of those benchmarks to complete a standard. The benchmarks, like the standards, are published in the state register. And so I wanted to give you a sense of what these standards actually look like. So you have in your packets 3 pieces of 3 documents relating to the science standards. And I have here the schedule for the standards revisions process, and you can see that we're currently in the process of reviewing science standards. And so have here a summary on the PowerPoint. There's a summary of the timeline, but there's a more complete timeline in your packets, and you can see, for example, that the committee was meeting starting last August. That in November there was the first draft of the standards was posted for public input. A second draft will be posted in February, and then the final draft will be sent to the Commissioner in May. So that just gives you a sense of the time that is involved in this part of the process. And then you also have in your packets this document here, which is just a little snippet, the introduction to the 2009 science standards. And again, that's just to give you a sense of what these look like. And if you go to this page here, there's kind of a little table there. And you can see there's strands and substrands, and then standards, and then benchmarks. For me, it's easier to see these in order to understand them. So I just wanted to give you a little flavor of that. So for example, a benchmark for 3rd grade would be constructing reasonable explanations based on evidence. And then this document, this is, again, just a little snippet of the first draft of the new science standards. And again, that's just so you can see what these look like when they're developing them. But if you have questions regarding the actual substance of those, I would direct those to the department. Okay, so once those go to the commissioner for approval, then the rulemaking process begins. So at that point, so then, for example, the ARC standards, which were the last set of standards that the department began to review, go back to 2017-18. Once that process was completed and the standards were sent to the commissioner for review, the standards were published in the state register. There was a notice for comment. That was last May. And the department is still working on those and working on what's called a statement of need and reasonableness, or SONAR. And that's something that agencies have to do when they're developing rules. It's kind of a rationale for why they're proposing a specific rule. And so the rulemaking process, which is what takes place after the committee has done all that work, that's about a 12 to 24 month process. And then once those go through the rulemaking process and they're finally approved, there is an implementation period. And I think, that could be approximately 2 years, give or take. And the department works with districts and has resources and all of that to help them implement the standards. So school districts and charter schools are responsible for implementing standards. They have to have district advisory committees to advise on instruction and curriculum and make recommendations to the school board on academic standards. The committees have to reflect the diversity of the school district and school sites to the extent possible. And then at each school site, there's also a site team that works on curriculum and instruction, and that should include teachers, administrators, and a parent. Districts, like I said, also develop their own health standards, and they develop elective standards. So in career and technical education, they have to develop their own standards. And also world languages standards, although for that they adopt standards developed by the American Council on the Teaching of Foreign Languages. And that is it, unless any of you have questions.
Representative Mueller.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Ms. Parra, thank you so much for your testimony. That was really helpful today. And I had a question about the mental health aspect on page 6 for your slides. And actually, I know the last slide touched on it too, that said districts develop health standards. And I know I'm pretty sure our statutes say that districts may provide mental health training to students or education to students. And I'm just wondering if the department has any. So I know they don't develop standards in that, but is there any kind of development of any policy or anything like that that the department would do, or does it have to be required by statute for them to get involved in that?
Ms. Parra.
Madam Chair, Representative Mueller, so the department wouldn't develop standards around that. They might have resources for districts, or, other state agencies might also have resources for districts, but they wouldn't go through this the standards process to develop that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Representative Riddle.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Ms. Parra, not sure if you can answer this, but how do we have assurance that standards are being taught? For example, I won't even talk about my favorite topic, but for example, a couple of years ago, there was a report that St. Paul schools had not taught the art standards at all. It's a one-credit course, wasn't taught. Do we have any way of tracking that?
Ms. Parra, should you or maybe someone from the department come up, or?
I can take a stab at it. Madam Chair, Representative Erdahl, Minnesota has traditionally been a local control state and has left it up to districts to implement the standards. There's no mechanism in statute for the commissioner to sort of go around to each district and ensure that standards are being implemented. We do have standards that are aligned to, we have assessments in certain areas that are aligned to our standards. But generally, implementing those standards is a matter of school, what the school board does and the school district does.
Representative Erdahl-Paula.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And therefore, it would be easier, I would imagine, for those areas in which there is the mandatory state testing, but particularly for those areas where there is no such test, it would be you're saying it would be very difficult to track that. And in fact, if school districts decide that they don't want to follow the state standards, they don't have to.
Ms. Barra.
Madam Chair, Representative Erdahl, the districts are required to, the statute says the districts are required to implement those. As for an enforcement mechanism, I can't point you to one in statute.
Sorry to put you on the spot with this.
Thank you, Representative Erdahl. We had this conversation just for you. So, anybody else with a question? Representative Erickson.
Well, Madam Chair, I'm not sure this is a question, but I believe the Wilder Foundation determined that only 17% of our students actually are taught curricula that supports our standards. So that might be one of the reasons we have an achievement gap, is that the MCAs test the benchmarks of the standards, and if they're not being used in our classrooms, that might be an issue. But this is not a question for Ms. Para, but I have here the 1988 OLA report on program. It was the evaluation of high school education. And their recommendations, which are most amusing because we've come full circle. First recommendation was establish more ambitious uniform state standards and goals for academic curricula and outcomes. I think that's where the profile of learning was created, but didn't fulfill its goal. Provide for systems and staff who would monitor compliance with the new standards on a timely basis. And I think we just heard Ms. Paris say there is no evidence of compliance, so that one was not fulfilled. And finally, ensure full disclosure of comparative information, which would summarize each district's high school programs, populations, and outcomes. And we have somewhat reached that, I guess, in the fact that we have a school report card now, and that does record at least the MCA data. But we seem to be fumbling and stumbling along in this area. I brought a copy of the high school social studies standards just for Representative Erdahl to remind him that civics is in this group of standards. And I've tracked my grandson, who's now in second grade, and asked him some questions. And so I know his teachers have taught the civic standards because he knew how to vote in kindergarten. And that's one of the benchmarks in kindergarten for social studies standards. So this is good stuff. It really is. I happen to be a proponent of our standards. They've been written by teachers. As you heard me say last week, for the most part, teachers participate in writing the test items, and then another group of teachers reviews the test items for bias and for appropriateness and relevance and any language issues. And finally, teachers and others also set the cut scores. So teachers are really involved in this. I've not been involved directly since the first writing of the language arts standards, which were done in 2003 after No Child Left Behind. It was our federal accountability, and I participated then as a legislator and also as a language arts teacher. But, I think we need to pay attention to this report that Ms. Para has just given us, because it is the foundation for education in our schools. And I would hope that through staff development, our school districts are providing that training in standards so teachers do understand the importance. And then when we look at the MCA scores, we know that they have tried to achieve the benchmarks, and that will show, I think, in the MCAs, which, as I said earlier, are a test of the benchmarks of our standards. So thank you, Ms. Para. As always, very good work.
Thank you, Representative Erickson, and I would love to see that Wilder Foundation report if you have it on hand. And did you say the OLA report was from 1988?
Madam Chair, that's correct.
Thank you, Representative Erickson. That's a ways back. Maybe we need to chat with the OLA again about having a look into our standards, but maybe that's something we can dig into for next year when we really focus on policy. So is there any other questions for Ms. Para? All right, I am looking around to see if, yes, Representative Freiberg is here and ready for our next bill. As he's coming down, let's see here. As Representative Freiberg gets settled with his testifiers, may I have a motion to get Representative Freiberg's bill before the committee?
Madam Chair, I move to hear House File 116.
Representative Knush-Bodine has moved House File 116 before the committee. Let's see. Before the committee, so moved. I intend to move House File 116 to be referred to the Ways and Means Committee. So right now we have the bill before us. Representative Freiberg, welcome to the committee. I'd like you to tell us about your bill and then introduce your testifiers and have them give testimony. Then we have some folks that have also signed up to testify afterwards. So if you could keep your presentation tight under 15 minutes so we have time for discussion, that would be wonderful. Representative Freiberg.
Thank you, Chair Youakim. That should not be a problem. So thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. House File 116 would allow school districts the same authority essentially that cities and counties have. It would allow them to renew an expiring referendum by a vote of the school board, who are the elected officials for the area, similar to a city council or a county board. So they would be able to renew an expiring referendum by vote of the school board rather than having to go to a vote of the people. I think this is in particularly timely and important issue right now. There was an article, NPR just had a story recently about an out-of-state advocate who is getting hired to help defeat ballot questions that actually occurred several years ago in the school district my kids go to, and it was very traumatic for everyone involved. So this is an important bill that would level the playing field between school districts and other levels of local government. It's supported by a wide range of groups: the Association of Metropolitan School Districts, Education Minnesota, the Minnesota School Boards Association, the Minnesota Association of School Administrators, the Minnesota Rural Education Association, the Minnesota Association of School Business Officials, and the Schools for Equity in Education. And I did have several offers from those groups to come speak in favor of it as well, but I know that you do have limitations on your committee time, so I suggested that they not do so out of deference to your schedules. But I do have a couple people here to testify. First, I'd like to hand it over to one of my school board members, John Vento from the Robbinsdale School Board.
Thank you, Representative Freiberg. Can you please state your name for the record and your title?
My name is John Vento. I am currently serving on the Robbinsdale Area School Board as its chairperson.
Thank you. Proceed, Mr. Vento.
Thank you, Chair Youakim. I am John Vento of the Robbinsdale Area School Board, and I want to thank Representative Freiberg for introducing this legislation in the House. Robbinsdale Area Schools currently has 2 operating levies that were passed back in 2014 and 2018 with well over 60% voter approval on both of those occasions. With House File 116, we are not asking to have an increase in our levy authority, only to renew levies that were already approved by our voters. Over the past 5 years, operating levy renewals statewide have passed 82 out of 82 times, perfect score. Permitting school boards to renew a referendum at the same level after a public hearing would save thousands of taxpayer dollars that school districts are required to spend informing the public and conducting election again year after year. There is no additional cost to the state. for this legislation. Robbinsdale area schools this past fall paid over $100,000 in costs for running its campaign, which includes printing of material and personnel costs. Our community supported our efforts by raising over $20,000 for the Citizen Committee, along with countless volunteer hours. Anytime we ask our communities to support our levy, these campaigns cost our districts and community the same amounts. The public supports House File 116. According to a recent Moore-Sutherland polling data, 60%, including a majority of Republican and Democrats, support school boards having the authority to renew operating levies. School boards are elected by the same voters who vote for legislators, city council, city boards, town boards, etc. Why are school districts the only governmental body that has to pass a referendum for operating costs? In our last referendum, we had the overwhelming support of our 7 communities, city councils, and mayors. When speaking with these representatives, I've always asked how would they feel if they had to go to the voters every time they wanted to increase revenue. We are all elected to represent our communities on the same ballot. Why are the votes for my fellow school board members receive a lesser or second-class value? Prior to 1989, there was no limits on operating referendum. Once it was approved, it was in effect as long as the board chose to make the levy. Legislation changes since then have diminished the school board's levying authority, limiting the duration and capping the dollar amounts. I am unaware of any other elected body in the state of Minnesota that has had these limitations over that period of time put on them. House File 116 is a sensible step to help school districts provide stability for our budgeting process and return local control to school board members to renew voter-approved levies. Thank you, and with this, I'll turn it over to Superintendent Chris Lennox.
Mr. Lennox, would you please state your name for the record and proceed?
Thank you. Madam Chair, my name is Chris Lennox. I am the Superintendent of Schools for the Mounds View Public School District, and I am here to testify in support of House File 116. As Mr. Vento shared with you, over the last 5 years, I think it is important to state that 100% of the no increase levy renewals passed, 82 out of 82, and the renewals passed at significant margins, at 2-to-1 and 3-to-1 margins. They really haven't been close. And I bring that up again because this fall, our school district, the Mounds View Public Schools, will have an expiring levy. And our intention is to renew that levy at no increase. But under current law, we'll be required to hold an election. It would also be important for you to know that Mounds View has 2 levies that were approved by our voters. And since their original approvals, both have subsequently been renewed again at no increase. So this fall will mark the 3rd time we will go to our voters and ask them to approve the same levy for the same amount. Now, in conversations with our community, I've come to understand that this confuses people. Voters believe that if we're asking them to go back to the polls, we're asking them to cast a vote, there must be something new. There must be something different about what you're asking. And when I try to explain this to them, they're skeptical. Their question is, why would we need to vote again if nothing's changing? Why would we need to vote if there's no increase? Why do we need to vote again if we've already said yes to what you're asking? Well, that's a good question. And House File 116 can change that. You see, to date, my answer to our community has been that state statute requires us to run an election when levies expire, even if we're asking for no increase. And it's important for legislators to recognize that while these elections certainly have financial and labor costs associated, they also have a political cost. Make no mistake that by forcing districts to hold elections for no increased levies, it reinforces the perception that schools are constantly asking for money. This is especially troubling for those districts who are trying to do the fiscally responsible thing and hold the line with no increase. I also want to point out that both students and parents have come to expect the programs and services that have been being provided, often for years, as a result of these local levies. by forcing an election, you actually create a necessity for districts to identify what could be lost if the levy is not renewed. For example, this fall in Mounds View, our renewal is for a $535 per pupil amount. And with over 10,000 students in the district, that's more than $5.35 million that would be lost should we not renew that levy. But this isn't district-driven. We're not wanting to take those programs and services from our public, but when districts attempt to articulate that financial cost, the public often pushes back, claiming that's scare tactics. And the dialogue can degenerate and become negative and divisive. But with the passage of this bill, that wouldn't be necessary. School districts would be able to maintain a focus on what we will provide for our students, not on what would be lost. House File 116 would add a measure of stability to the budgeting process for our schools. It would allow us to plan for and provide the programs and services our communities have come to expect. And the best part, because these are locally approved levies, there is no cost to the state budget. I implore you, please give school boards this authority and allow them to have local control. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Lennox. Representative Freiberg, I see one other person on the list. Did you have is there a Sheridan Johnson from Anoka Hennepin Schools?
It would appear that there is.
All right, thank you. A surprise guest, okay. Mr. Johnson, please state your name for the record and your title.
Madam Chair, committee members, my name is Sheridan Johnson. I was with the Anoka Hennepin Parents Vote Yes Committee from a couple years ago for our referendum.
Thank you. Proceed.
Thank you, first of all, for allowing me to provide testimony in support of House File 116, authorizing school districts to renew expiring referendums by action of the school board. My wife and I led the Anoka Hennepin Parents Vote Yes efforts in support of our capital and operating levies in 2017. This was a critical campaign for our district. It provided funding for significantly overdue infrastructure and learning environment improvements. It was also critical for improving class sizes and ensuring learning opportunities for our students. I myself am the product of public education in Minnesota. I grew up in Hawley, Minnesota. My graduating class had 52 students, just slightly smaller than Anoka Hennepin's 3,000 graduates this year. After graduation, I attended the University of Minnesota, earning bachelor's and master's degrees, and now live in Anoka, where our 6th and 2nd graders attend school. Growing up in Hawley, I saw the value of those community members who seem to always be where the action is and where their time and leadership is needed. When Anoka Hennepin School Board began discussion on the proposals that led to our 2017 vote, there was a call for community members to investigate and learn about the needs of our district. As a cost-conscious member of the community, I wanted to learn as much as I could to understand if I was in support or not of the potential to ask for additional funding. In other words, I wanted to know, how is the school board already utilizing the resources that they have? Dozens of hours in meetings with over 30 other concerned community members yielded enormously valuable insights into this issue. At the end of the investigation phase, the board decided to move to a formal proposal and ask the public for a vote. In a district with over 40,000 students and over 200,000 residents, no one stepped up to lead this effort. My wife and I have literally spent hundreds of hours in our schools every year volunteering. We knew we could not afford to sit this one out. An organized effort was absolutely necessary to gain support and cross the finish line with a yes vote. Over the years, these types of votes have become too common. The state funding needed for education has continued to lag behind, and in Anoka Hennepin alone, levies make up 14% of our $500 million budget this year. This would be equivalent to not having any funding for educating 6,000 students in our district. Getting these levies approved is critical, and it requires significant resources and efforts on the part of parents, the community, and the districts. Regardless of what zip code the referendum occurs, whether it's in Grove City or Princeton or Mounds View or Hawley. House File 116 would allow a school board, those community members already elected to their seats, to renew an existing referendum. Referendum campaigns are expensive, time-consuming, and ripe for outside influences to try to drive negative vote. We were lucky in Anoka Hennepin to avoid that type of outside involvement in this past vote. Our community support was strong, and the vote was successful. Other school districts have not had that experience. We vote our school board members into office, just like all of you are also elected, to represent our positions on school policy and budgeting decisions. I believe this bill falls square within those responsibilities to ensure consistent and continuously improved education for all within our public schools. Please support House File 116 to empower those elected to represent us on our school boards, to make the best decisions possible for our students. Thank you, and I stand available for questions.
Representative Freiberg, thank you. Mr. Johnson. Representative Freiberg, we have one person up that wants to testify in opposition. Would you prefer to take questions now or have Mr. Bartholomew come up and then take questions?
I would say it's up to your discretion. I'm fine taking all
All
testimony.
right, why don't we do the testimony real quick? Mr. Bartholomew, do you want to come up? Please state your name for the record and proceed with your testimony, and then we'll see if there's anybody else in the audience for or against, then we'll go to questions. Mr. Bartholomew.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, my name is Jim Bartholomew with the Minnesota Business Partnership, and want to thank you for the opportunity to share our concerns with House File 116. School referendums are an opportunity for conversations between school boards and their citizens. For example, referendums have been requested for strategies such as reducing class sizes, providing early education services, hiring additional student support personnel, improving access to technology, and compensating for declining student enrollment. In each case, school boards have the opportunity to describe what they're currently doing, what they'd like to do, and how the new funding will make a difference for students. By the same token, citizens have the opportunity to gain a better understanding of what their schools are doing, what strategic direction they'd like to take, and perhaps offer alternatives. These are critical to conversations for schools and their communities to have. And generally, as you've heard, citizens have been supportive and approved referendums. What House File 116 would do is remove the ability of citizens to ask their school board if the strategy funded by the referendum met expectations, and to have the final say in whether it should be continued or changed. The state has already given school boards flexibility in raising additional funds through local option revenue and allowing certain districts to levy $300 per student. One alternative to House File 116 is to improve the referendum equalization rates. We ask that you not adopt House File 116, which shifts to a hearing process prior to renewing a property tax, similar to what cities and counties do. While this may be easier for school boards, it reduces the role of citizens by taking away their right to vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bartholomew. I'm going to open up real quick to the audience to see if there's anybody in the audience that would like to speak in favor or in opposition to the testimony, and then we'll take questions. Anybody in the audience? Oh, I do also have a letter that was given to us about less than an hour ago from the Farm Bureau in opposition that we're passing out. I believe the authors had a chance to look at it. I think we got it down to your office in time. This is just a quick reminder to folks. We try to post these hearings 5 days in advance so that you can get us the testimony ahead of time, so it's more accessible to people. Our crack staff got this online already for people to see, but 5-day lead time would be nice to have information within a reasonable amount of time and not an hour before hearing. So we're handing it out now, but just be forewarned, we'd prefer to get things earlier for both parties, both sides of the aisle, whoever has bills up, just to be fair. So let's start with questions. Representative Herr, why don't you go ahead?
I'm gonna defer.
Okay, you're going to defer? Okay. Representative Bennett.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to all of our testifiers. I'm hoping maybe our research people here can correct me if I'm wrong, But I just want to kind of view this through the lens of history a little bit, because from my understanding, way back in the 80s, the legislature passed something called the Minnesota Miracle, something like that, which, and then again in the early 2000s added to that Minnesota Miracle. And from what I understand, at that time, the legislature kind of took on the local property tax payments for school districts. So basically took that off the laps of our local residents and had the state start funding education, with the understanding that any additional local levies would be voter approved. And I'm not sure if research would want to correct me on that or not, but so I just want to say, viewing this through that lens, it's a little different from counties and cities because the state puts a significant investment into our school districts. And so I think we can't quite look at it as, it's like comparing apples to oranges here. And I totally understand school districts and I am for local control, but I think we have to be very careful in taking away taxpayer, their right to vote on these types of things. So my question would be, and research, correct me if I'm wrong on the background, but my question would be, would a better way to address this, instead of taking away the local vote of the citizens, perhaps giving districts the opportunity to have a little bit longer levies? Right now, the limit's 10 years. Should we maybe change that to 15 years? I don't know how that would fix things or help things, or even if it's possible, but I do think we need to walk very carefully when we're taking local taxpayers' votes away. That's just throwing that out. And I guess I would ask if anybody would comment on, would it help to lengthen that time that the levies are, do you know what I'm saying, the length of time they're allowed?
First, Mr. Strom, any correction on the history?
Madam Chair, just a couple quick things on the history and perhaps in reverse order. When the operating referendums were initially created, there was not a time limit on them. They could run indefinitely. In the 90s, for a short period of time, there was a 5-year time limit placed on the operating referendum. And since that time, it's gone back to a 10-year time limit, and that's the time limit that's currently in place. In terms of the history of the operating referendum, very low levels in the early 1980s of the referendum. In the late 1980s, there was a buy-off of about $315, if memory serves me, of the referendum authority, where that was voter-approved authority that got converted to state aid for all districts. The referendum then continued over time and grew again, and in 2001, a similar maneuver by the legislature was made where another $415 of the referendum was reduced. So as Representative Bennett said, there were those 2 time periods where the state bought down the operating referendum that existed.
And then Representative, thank you, Mr. Strom. I don't know what we'd do without your historical knowledge. So maybe a question to that real quick. So it was never bought completely down?
Madam Chair, that's correct.
Thank you. Representative Freiberg.
Well, I would just say, extending the question, I think, was whether it would be a good idea to extend the levy limit. I mean, it was the history I thought was helpful. I'm glad Mr. Strom went first. I'm not surprised that he knew more about the history than I do. It sounds like there was no limit at one point. To me, it seems like that's a sort of a separate question from this one. It's probably an idea worth exploring, but the purpose behind this bill is just to set school districts on the same footing, give them the same system in place that cities and counties have, and not to jeopardize the well-being of the students in those districts, not to run the risk of a divisive campaign when there's already, they are, for the most, at least recently, the renewal campaigns have been successful. Actually, I hadn't even really thought about the aspect that this can save districts money by not having them to have to go through this. So, there's some merit, I think, to that suggestion, but this bill is trying to get at a different issue.
Thank you, Representative Freiberg. I have Representative Gruenhagen.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. Representative Freiberg, having been on a school board for 16 years.
I'm aware of that.
Yeah, I know. No, 16. Dean keeps correcting me, I'm a number user, a servant, but check the record. But anyway, the thing is, and having to, I was in a declining enrollment school district. We went from about almost 2,000 students down to 1,500. And like most school districts, you try to hobble your way through it financially. We ran a couple, I've been part of referendums that have passed, and I've been part of referendums that have failed. In this particular case, when we had declined, almost 500 pupil units, we hadn't made the changes that were necessary with the lower pupil amount. And we tried passing referendums, and the public overall rejected them. That forced us as a school board to make changes. And we had to close the facility, which we did, which was necessary, but hard if we didn't first try those referendums. Number two, we got rid of the 4-period day, which I and the superintendent both agreed was a poor model and extremely expensive. We also got rid of the 7-period day in our 9 through 12, and we went with a 6-period day, 7 through 12. That saved us over $300,000 a year, and over 23 FTEs were reduced. So your bill would never have brought that about, or would have pushed that those problems down the road. So by having the public involved in that particular case, they forced us to make the decisions that we needed to make. One thing about government, unlike private sector, you have competition, and you go out of business if you operate inefficiently. The thing about government, they can just keep going on and on and on and operate inefficiently in many cases. And by having these votes, I think it puts pressure on the system to get rid of some of the things that are inefficient and to operate it more effectively. Now, it was tough decisions. It was hard to let people go. But in the end, we kept a strong academic program, and we kept a strong athletic program. The other things we were forced to do because the public wouldn't approve the referendum, we privatized our buses, we privatized our cooks, and we privatized our custodians. And the primary thing was the benefits that they had were probably the highest in the conference. And we brought those benefits down more to the average. And again, tough decisions. I lived with those people. My business is right downtown, so they could just walk in and talk to me at any time. But in the end, when we look back, it was the right thing to do. We wound up with a $4.6 million surplus right before I got off the school board, and the Glencoe Silver Lake has been operating with a surplus ever since. For those reasons, and also reasons given by the Farm Bureau and the Business Partnership, I have to oppose your bill, and I think you're taking local control away from the voters. And these are difficult conversations at times, but I believe they're necessary conversations. So can you understand my perspective, Representative Freiberg?
Representative Freiberg, I guess there was a question at the very end there.
No, I appreciate the opportunity to comment. I certainly do understand your perspective, Representative Gruenhagen. Appreciate your service on the school board. I don't see this bill as forestalling the opportunity for school districts to make difficult financial decisions. I mean, if you're in a declining enrollment district, then the funding, even if a operating referendum at the existing level is passed, you still have to make some of those difficult decisions because, if the number if you're losing students in there, you're losing some revenue based on the formula. I'd also slightly take issue with the suggestion, and I know Mr. Bartholomew made this point too, that even if this bill were to pass, that it removes the opportunity for public involvement. If you look to lines 16 and 17 of page 1 of the bill, the school board is still required to have a written resolution authorizing the renewal. They have to hold a meeting and allow public testimony on the proposed renewal. So there is an opportunity for the public to comment, and that's the same thing that's true of city councils and boards of commissioners. There's opportunity to comment in those processes as well. And if the school board is being unaccountable in some way, the ultimate decider on that is the voters. The voters can vote them out if they don't approve of the way they're making their spending decisions. And that's the same thing, again, that's true, not to sound like a broken record, but that's the same thing that's true for city councils and county boards.
Thank you, Representative Freiberg. Representative Erickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Representative Freiberg, did you consider asking someone who represents rural Minnesota, who might even be a farmer, to testify today to get their perspective on this kind of proposal?
Representative Freiberg.
Thank you, Representative Erickson, Chair Youakim. As I mentioned at the outset, the Minnesota Rural Education Association supports this bill. I did have an opportunity to read the letter from the Farm Bureau. And again, I would just say that, this bill, I don't claim to be an expert. I don't represent a rural area. I don't represent farms that I know of, maybe some urban agriculture, but certainly not a rural area. But I would say that this would put, in those rural areas, the city councils, the township boards, the county boards, this would put school districts on equal footing with them as it would statewide. So there are, the Rural Education Association is in favor of that. I don't know if there's anybody here who represents them. They could certainly come forward and speak to it. But I do know there is support in rural communities.
Madam Chair?
Representative Erickson,
Thank you,
follow-up?
Madam Chair. Well, thank you for that answer, Representative Freiberg. I happen to have a farmer on the Princeton School Board. They pass referenda, and then they don't pass referenda. So Princeton is rather unique because the ag land in the school district is decreasing, and we have to the south more of a suburban. But Malacca, which is very, very agricultural, they cannot pass a referenda because we don't have a tax base in much of rural Minnesota. So this really does impact property taxes. And I hear about it all the time. It was the number one issue when I was campaigning, property tax increases. And then I have Lake Mille Lacs and homes around that where the values of the homes are high. And so if there's a referenda, their taxes even get higher because, of the type of land they have. So, this is really difficult for me to deal with in that I represent the taxpayers, I represent my school boards, and I'm sure I have school board members who want this, but I also have many, many taxpayers who are very concerned about property tax increases. They appreciate that the state spends over $8 billion a year on K-12 education, that we allow now for the $724 to be board approved, the $300 and the $424 from previous action that this legislature has taken on operating referenda or the local option. So, this is really a difficult issue to confront our taxpayers with, I think, in regard to their input on the renewal of these. And, so today I'll be opposing this because I think there maybe is a better way to approach this. But right now, it's going to greatly impact ag land and those taxes that are paid by those farmers. And of course, the farming industry, as we all know, is really hurting. So I understand what Farm Bureau is talking about in this letter. This is really very, very difficult. And I wanted you to know that. So thank you.
Representative Freiberg, any follow-up comments? Otherwise, we have MREA, you've been summoned and appeared. So would you like to state your name for the record? And
Madam Chair and members, Sam Walseth, Legislative Director for the Rural Education Association. Tried to stay off the witness stand today, but when your name gets called about 3 or 4 times, you got to come up. Did want to just clarify for the record, I've been emailing the Farm Bureau representative as well, too, just to clarify that the tax base in question here on the voter-approved referendums is referendum market value, and that's also commonly referred to as house, garage, 1 acre. And so just to clarify that the renewal would be on the house, garage, 1 acre levy, not the full ANTC tax base that would encumber all of that agricultural production land. So I think there was a little bit of confusion. I'll let Farm Bureau speak for themselves if they want to clarify, but just want for the record for the committee just to know that the tax base in question is the house, garage, 1 acre tax base. MRA does support the bill. Thank you, Madam Chair, members.
Thank you,
Madam
Mr.
Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Walseth. So for those of us on tax committee or property tax can completely appreciate the house, garage, 1 acre, but I appreciate you coming up. Representative Erickson, follow up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, Mr. Walseth, my taxpayers don't differentiate between the capital improvements and the operating levy. They just see those 2 items on their tax statement, and that's what I receive calls about. And so the fact that they don't differentiate between those 2 is concerning. And, their ag land is taxed on one and not on the other. I mean, market valuation is used, and the other is the ANTC. But, that I think takes more education, and it's going to take more thought. So I think we need to consider that.
Thank you,
Madam Chair.
Representative Erickson. I think we're delving into the finance and the tax portion of this bill, so we're going to move on to some more questions on the policy. Representative Hewitt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Representative Freiberg, being a freshman, I have to ask some real simple questions that I hope you're going to indulge me here for a moment. So on 16 and 17 line, so this would require the school board to post a meeting, have the hearing, the voters then have an actual time to go before the school board, and they actually have to vote to get this, to go ahead and pass this at the meeting. Is that correct?
Representative Freiberg.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Just
Okay.
simple civics, that's all it is. I should have took more in your classes, but,
Thank you for that, Representative.
no, but I wanted to make sure that is right, Madam Chair, so thank you, Representative.
Thank you. And I've got Representative Erdahl, and then Mariani, and then Moeller, and then I think we'll take up the amendment that's in our packet. Representative Erdahl.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. Just a short comment. I think early in his presentation, Representative Freiberg mentioned that this would lower or level the playing field, and I feel I would be remiss if I didn't point out that state aid to schools greatly dwarfs state aid to cities.
Representative Freiberg, any comment?
Well, yes, perhaps I should have been more specific. It would level the playing field as far as the process used to maintain an existing level of funding.
Thank you. Representative Mariani.
Madam Chair, Representative Freiberg, very quick questions, hopefully very short answers, so several. One, Representative Freiberg, what are these levy funds used for?
Representative Freiberg.
Teaching, schools? Maybe you could be more specific with your question.
Representative Mariani.
Madam Chair, Representative Freiberg, we could get more specific, but I think you answered it correctly. These levy funds these funds are used for our kids in the state of Minnesota. Representative Freiberg, are we talking about referendums that the people have already voted for initially?
Representative Freiberg.
Yes.
Madam Chair,
Mariani.
Representative Freiberg, does it cost a school district anything to promote a levy referendum?
Representative Freiberg.
Yes, one of the testifiers spoke to that, I believe. There is a cost to maintaining the election. There are requirements as far as education of the voters as well.
And Madam Chair, Representative Freiberg, can you tell us whether anything in your bill prevents the voters from that school district from voting out anyone on a school board that would take an action that they don't like perhaps extending an existing levy referendum?
Representative Freiberg.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Representative Mariani, no, nothing would prevent that. If the voters are unhappy with their elected officials, they can vote them out.
Madam Chair,
Representative
Representative Freiberg,
Mariani.
it sounds like you've got a bill that has strong accountability in it. In a sector where accountability is what we look to promote, we certainly have done that through policy work. It looks like you're doing it through financing as well. I commend you on your bill.
Thank you, Representative Mariani. We're going to go to Representative Scott, Representative Moeller, and then I know there's an amendment someone probably wants to speak to. So, Representative Scott.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I was not going to comment because I felt like everything that I was going to say had already been said, but just in response to some of the questions that Representative Mariani had, yes, the referendum may have already been passed, but I've learned recently that a House district, our House districts, can turn over 10% in a year. So the same people that voted on that referendum 10 years ago are not the same people that are living in that district now. And the demographics of that district may have changed. Maybe we have a lot more people living on fixed incomes than we did before, which is going to be the case for many districts now that we have an aging population. Well, we're all aging, but you know what I mean, the silver tsunami. And as far as the cost, yeah, there's a cost to the district, and the cost to the districts for these referendums would be substantially lowered if they would run these referendums in the even year with the normal general year election. And the same people that are advocating for this bill are highly opposed to that. So maybe when we start having these referendums in election year, regular general election years, then maybe we have something to talk about. But I, for one, and I don't know about others around this table, but I've never had a constituent come to me and say, and complain about voting for a levy. they voted on before. I've never had that happen to me. And my main reason for opposing this bill is the same reason that I've opposed a bill that has floated around this place before about taking away, let's not vote on judges anymore. Let's have a different system for judges. Let's, this voting, nobody knows who they're voting for. And my main purpose for opposing this is you never take away a vote from the people that they're accustomed to having. And for that reason, I can't support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Freiberg, I didn't hear a question there, but any comments?
I guess I would just say our districts do change, as do school districts. The new voters would have the opportunity to vote out the school board members if they don't like what they're doing. I can't speak for other school districts. At least where I live, we have actually had the levy elections in the even years at the regular times, at least for the last couple ones.
Thank you. And Representative Mueller.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My questions were for Mr. Bartholomew. I don't know if he's still around.
Mr. Bartholomew, could you come down to the testifiers table, please, and then restate your name and the organization you're with?
Madam Chair, Representative Jim Bartholomew with the Minnesota Business Partnership.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Representative Mueller?
Yeah, Madam Chair and Mr. Bartholomew, I just looked at your website and I noticed that one of the things that pops up right on the front page is education, achieving a world-class education and closing the achievement gap. So that's a goal of your organization. Is that correct?
Mr. Bartholomew, I must have voted you there. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Representative, absolutely closing the achievement gap is one of our top priorities, as well as raising overall student achievement.
Representative Mueller, follow up.
Yeah, Madam Chair and Mr. Bartholomew, thank you. And I looked also at some of the businesses that are part of your partnership. You've got 3M, Delta, Land O'Lakes, a lot of big businesses. And are those businesses then opposed to this bill? Is that what you're representing here today?
Mr. Bartholomew.
Madam Chair, Representative, as I mentioned, we have concerns about this bill, and for two reasons, and based on the conversation. The first is, people currently have the ability to vote on whether or not to renew a referendum levy. And we think having that vote is very important for civic engagement. The other thing that I think should be mentioned is, as that renewal process goes, citizens have the ability to ask, did what the district Representative Mariani asked the question, what are referendums for? They're all for all sorts of different initiatives at district by district level. And the key thing to do is, when that referendum expires, ask the question, did it accomplish the goals we initially set out to accomplish? Yes? Great, probably renew. No? What's our alternative strategy? So I think that whole conversation about, did it accomplish the goal we set out or not? Are there alternatives? But to engage the citizens and give them the final ability to say yes or no.
Mr. Bartholomew, you've done a good job reiterating your concerns, but I don't know, Representative Mueller, if you feel like your question's been answered, but I'll let you do a follow-up if you'd like.
Well, thanks, Madam Chair. I guess I don't, whether or not these businesses actually would oppose this. And I think one of the reasons that was concerning why I asked that was because I heard that the proponents of the bill said that one of the reasons for this is it provides stability in budgeting for our school districts. And I would think that your businesses would also appreciate the fact to have stability in budgeting. So it was a little surprising to me to hear your testimony in opposition today. So I don't know if you want to address that.
Quick, Mr. Bartholomew, so we can get to the amendment.
Madam Chair, Representative, we're here expressing our concerns for this bill. I don't know how to be more clear about that. Again, I think there are better ways to go about this issue than is being proposed.
Representative Mueller?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I have one other question. I can't remember who said this, if it was Superintendent Lennox or not, who, just for the record, is the superintendent of my school district. I've already told him my children were not happy they had school this morning in the snow. They were waking up and hoping for a snow day. But I think somebody testified about the fact that of the past renewals that we've had, 82 out of 82 have voted yes. And I heard Representative Erickson express some concerns about her community not passing referendums. And so I'm a little unclear about that, if she's talking about new referendums or if we're talking about existing referendums. And I'm just wondering if someone could clarify that, if I heard that right, 82 out of 82.
Gentleman who'd like to take a stab at that. Mr. Vento, please state your name again for the record, if I got it right.
You did, John Vento, Robbinsdale Area School Board. First off, there are multiple types of referendums. We have tech levies, we've got operating, we have capital. So let's be clear about this. This bill is only for operating levies. So nothing that technology, if it's a project outside of that, if it's anything that would, that would not be up for renewal. We would have to go back to the voters. Same thing with anything relative to a capital levy. Any increases, we'd still have to go back to the voters. We did an increase in Robbinsdale this past fall. That would not be covered under the bill other than, 10 years down the road now, we would potentially have the opportunity to renew that by a simple majority vote of the board. As Representative Freiberg alluded to earlier, in 2007, Robbinsdale area schools had a referendum renewal for $20 million fail. So imagine, and our budget at the time was probably about $140 million. So imagine the whole having that fail, and that was a third-party outside state organization that came in. I think a few of us know who they are. Thankfully, we went out a year early. So the following year, the bill passed, then the referendum back in 2008, we passed, but we had to prepare for $20 million in cuts. That wasn't being fiscally irresponsible. The tool of the referendum that has been given to the state and the ability through the Minnesota Miracle, and I don't want to correct the legislator, but it was in the early 70s. I'm a product of the Minnesota Miracle, and very proud to say that my father voted for the Minnesota Miracle when he served in this august body. So I've got a lot of history, particularly with education issues within the state of Minnesota. That's what drove me to serve as a school board member and public service. The referendums, when they originally were kind of add-ons. You want to be able to do something more for gifted and talented, a specific program. Unfortunately, because of state funding, little things like the special ed cross-subsidy and little things like EL cross-subsidy, as they've evolved, the operating referendum has become a crucial part, particularly districts that have them, to maintain them, because that is a service. And I agree with the testimony I heard earlier from the fellow school board member about declining enrollment. We've had declining enrollment in Robbinsdale. We have dealt with $14 million in cuts outside of going back of our referendum and asking for more. $6 million that we just got from our voters is not going to replace the $14 million. We as school board members need to be fiscally responsible to our constituents. They have the opportunity every 2 years in my district during an election cycle on general election day to give us a thumbs up or thumbs down. So hopefully that answers the question.
Thank you, Mr. Vento. And there is an amendment in our packet. Is anybody to offer that?
Madam Chair, that's my amendment, but I withdraw it. But I would like to ask Mr. Strom to explain the technology levy, please.
Mr. Strawn.
Madam Chair, as school board member Vento just said, there are three types of referendums that school districts can have. The primary one is the operating referendum. The second one is the debt election to approve the sale of bonds for building bonds. And the third has changed its name a couple of times. When it was passed, it was called the down payment levy. Now it's called the capital projects referendum. And many districts will use that for technology as well as for some relatively short-term building maintenance needs. But technology is a big part of the one that now travels under the name of the capital projects referendum.
Thank you, Mr. Strom, for that clarification. Thank you, Madam Chair. And I would like to call for a roll call on the final vote, but I did withdraw my amendment.
Okay. Having requests for a roll call, we'll have a roll call on the final vote. I wanted to give Representative Freiberg any final comments.
Madam Chair?
Representative Mariani.
Madam Chair, just a very quick thought for Representative Freiberg. I did find one thing compelling about, that was shared about some folks in opposition. I support this bill. But I do think that under the framework of accountability, that perhaps accompanying something when these get renewed relative to reporting out to the public about whether the goals have been specifically met with the use of these funds, I think it's a strong accountability thought. And I don't want to muck up your bill, but I'm just offering it as as a thought in terms of providing good, even better information for the public in the case we do this. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative Mariani. Representative Freiberg, any following comments?
I'd be happy to work with Chair Mariani to look at those issues as this bill moves forward.
Thank you. And we have the bill before us, House File 116. I'll renew my motion to move to for House File 116 to be referred to the Ways and Means Committee. There's been a roll call requested, so will the clerk proceed?
Madam Chair, before we do the roll call, may I?
Representative Erickson?
I would like to amend your motion to send this bill to...
Representative Erickson, we're in the middle of a motion, so I don't know if that's allowable. I'm trying to decide. Go ahead, Representative Erickson.
I would like to see this bill referred to the Committee on Government Operations because there are some major changes here that I would think Representative Freiberg's committee might like to refer to local government or to elections if this bill goes forward.
Representative Erickson, it's my understanding that Ed Finance is asked to look at the piece first, and then that would probably be going to Representative Freiberg's committee after that. So if we can have the motion as stand, and then I know you and I both sit on Ed Finance, and we can make sure it goes to government operations after that.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So roll call being requested. Clerk, please take the roll.
Roll call on House File 116. Representative Youakim.
Those in favor say aye. Aye.
Roll call on House File 116. Representative Youakim.
Aye.
Representative Kunesh-Podein.
Aye.
Representative Erickson.
No.
Representative Barr.
No.
Representative Baker.
Nope.
Representative Bennett.
No.
Representative Bierman.
Aye.
Representative Christensen.
Aye.
Representative Grunhagen.
No.
Representative Hassan.
Yep.
Representative Herr.
Yes.
Representative Hewitt.
Aye.
Representative Mariani.
Yes.
Representative Mueller.
Aye.
Representative Sandell.
Yes.
Representative Scott.
No.
Representative Erdahl.
No.
Representative Waslewick.
Aye.
There being 11 ayes and 7 nays, the motion prevails. House File 116 will be referred to Ways and Means Committee. Thank you, Representative Freiberg.
Thank you.
I am going to turn the gavel over to Representative Kunesh-Podein as I quick present House File 116. And then actually, she'll be gaveling us out after some announcements, and hopefully we can get done with this early. So.
Good afternoon. Members, we have House File 163 up for consideration today. I will preside while Chair Youakim moves to the testifying table where she is right now to present her bill.
Thank you, Chair Kunesh-Podein. I would like to move House File 163 to the General Registry.
Thank you, Chair Youakim. Would you please explain your bill?
Yes, thank you. Basically, this is a vehicle bill. I'm sure those of you who have been around have seen this quite a lot. It's just a small bill that makes very technical corrections, changing letters to numbers, and it's moving to the General Registry. I've been in consultation with Senator Carla Nelson and the Senate and the other body to make sure that we just have some options when we get closer to deadlines. I'll stand for any questions.
Seeing as Chair Youakim has no testifiers to speak to her bill, is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak to this bill? Seeing none, Chair Youakim renews her motion to, renews her motion to House File 163 and is referred to the General Register. Is there any discussion on this motion? All right, well, having none, those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The motion prevails. The bill is referred to the General Register. Thank you, members. We will meet again tomorrow where we will have another presentation from House Research regarding school calendars, as well as bills addressing school calendars. Our next meeting day is Wednesday, February 13th. We will be, the location is right here in State Office Building, Room 5. We will be here from 2:30 till 4 p.m. And this meeting is adjourned.